So I know you'll often learn words like ne sais pas, comme ci, comme ça in your French classes, and these words aren't wrong, but you're kind of gonna sound like a walking, talking French textbook. And don't worry, I learned French like this too, but today I wanted to share with you some random words that French speakers say all the time and are guaranteed to come up in everyday conversation so that you can really impress natives with your French skills. In this video, I'll give you about 25 words to sound more natural in French, give you a couple quizzes to solidify your knowledge, and also show you some words that you should probably avoid. Flou. Flou roughly means blurry or out of focus, more in the figurative sense. If you listen to Angèle at all, you might have noticed that one of her songs is titled Flou, and in the song she says, "Tout est devenu flou, beaucoup trop fou pour moi," referring to how her life has just gotten kind of crazy and out of focus ever since she really got famous for her music. It can also mean blurry in the literal sense. If someone shows you a blurry photo, you could say, "C'est flou, je ne comprends pas ce que c'est." Voir. So I know this sounds like the verb voir, to see, but voir with an E means even or indeed. Often it's used to compare varying degrees of something, like saying, he is one of the best, if not the best. One example is, il a 10 voitures, voire une collection. This word is a bit formal.
Jetons 20 kilos par an de matériel électrique ou électronique non recyclable, voire toxique.
Profiter de quelque chose. Profiter de quelque chose means to make the most of something. And this is so common in French. Whether you're making the most of a beautiful day or you're enjoying your time off, il faut en profiter, hein? It can also just mean to take advantage of something.
Des ressources inépuisables. Et plusieurs vies pour en profiter.
Pas mal. So this phrase actually has two meanings. One is the literal translation, not bad, pas mal. And this actually means that something is quite good. If someone says, "Le film n'était pas mal," they're actually saying the movie was pretty good, which I know is counterintuitive. The second is a synonym to beaucoup de. Pas mal de quelque chose means a considerable amount of something. Elle a pas mal de jouets, or il y a pas mal de parcs à Paris. Grand chose. Grand chose is commonly heard in the phrase, "T'as fait grand chose ce weekend?" It basically means much or anything, like, did you do much this weekend? But as the name implies, grand chose, it doesn't mean did you do absolutely anything, like watch Netflix. It's more like saying, did you do anything fun or special? Like if you were on vacation, your coworker might ask, "Vous avez fait grand chose à Lisbonne?" Contrarily, they might ask, "Qu'est-ce que vous avez fait pendant les vacances?" To which you might say, "Pas grand chose, mais on a tellement bouffé." Also take note that even though chose is feminine, you still use the masculine grand for grand chose. Let's do a quick quiz. What's wrong with this sentence? Aujourd'hui c'est un jour de congé, je profitais bien. If you said profiter needs to be conjugated, you would be correct. If your day's just getting started, you might say je vais en profiter bien. Or if you're currently enjoying your day off, you could say j'en profite bien. N'hésitez pas, n'hésite pas. This means don't hesitate or don't shy, usually from asking questions or reaching out. And this is one of my favorite French phrases because it's so sweet and reassuring. Anytime someone was showing me around in France or I was visiting someplace new, people would always tell me, "Si t'as des questions, n'hésite pas, hein?" Or "N'hésite pas, okay?" Quoi de neuf? If you watched a previous video and switched your phone language to French, then you might know that if you open Twitter in French, it says quoi de neuf. This just means what's new. And this neuf doesn't mean the number 9, it's just another way of saying new. And the difference between neuf and neuve and nouveau and nouvelle is that neuf means that something's absolutely brand new. If you're saying j'ai une chemise neuve, you're saying you have a brand new shirt that you've never worn before. Compared to il y a une nouvelle exposition au musée, there's a new exhibit at the museum, but it might have been around for a couple weeks already. To increase the confusion a little bit, as French likes to do, neuf and neuve are like regular adjectives. They come after the noun, but nouveau and nouvelle come before the noun, like we saw in the example sentences. But anyways, if you see your friend after a long time, you might say, "Salut, ça fait très longtemps, quoi de neuf?" Vu que. Here's a sample scenario, and based on that, try guessing what vu que means. Tu viens à la fête ce soir? Vu que je suis malade, je ne viens pas. Vu que means given that or seeing that, and it's kind of a sophisticated alternative to parce que.
Du coup, j'ai un peu envie de vous parler de moi, vu que je suis un peu comme toi, comme toi, comme toi aussi, comme toi, comme toi.
En tant que. En tant que basically just means as, and it's used for people's jobs or their roles. You might hear en tant que président, but it can also be for simple identity markers like en tant que père, en tant que femme. For example, en tant que spécialiste, je ne peux pas accepter ce poste. Take note that with en tant que, you don't have the article before the noun. You don't say en tant que le professeur. It's just en tant que professeur.
Alors, en tant que chef du protocole et au nom de toutes les...
But the thing is, if you had regular subtitles, you would probably get stuck looking up en and temps and que, and then shuttling back and forth between the dictionary and Google, and it would just be a really inconvenient process. But with FluentU's interactive subtitles, you can basically see the definition and context for each word, so it's kind of like having a native guide. The platform is suited for all levels. You could turn off the English subtitles to see how good your listening comprehension is. You can also turn off the French and see if you can write down the French yourself based on what you hear. There's a link to a free 2-week trial in the description, and I really can't recommend it enough. Ciao! Once I was grabbing pizza in Paris, and then when I left the restaurant, the shopkeeper said, ciao ciao, and I was really confused. I was like, is this just because pizza is Italian? But no, ciao is actually a very common way to say bye with informal company in France, and I heard this almost as often as à tout or à tout à l'heure. And ciao is actually a way to say bye, not just in Italy and France, but a couple other countries in Europe as well. Coucou. Coucou is so cute, and it's most often used when greeting someone on the phone. Maybe don't use this with your bosses or something, but if you're texting your friends, calling your friends, this is a great way to greet them. You can also use it to draw attention to yourself, like if you're at a party and your friends are already talking to each other, you might drop by and say, coucou, ça va? Pire. Pire is an adjective and it means worse, and if you say le pire, it means the worst. Since pire expresses goodness or lack thereof, it also comes before the noun like nouveau and nouvelle. C'est le pire sandwich que j'ai jamais mangé. It can also be used as a noun. Le pire, c'est que je ne comprends rien. Let's take a pause and look at some phrases that you're probably using that are not really wrong, but you should probably use them a little less. Number 1 on this list is comme si comme ça. Comme si comme ça means so-so, and most French speakers agree that they use this occasionally, but mostly they just hear English speakers using it because of their textbooks. In France, it's considered to be a little bit of a cutesy and awkward phrase, and for a more native-like phrase, you're better off using bof. Ça va? Bof. N'est-ce pas? So n'est-ce pas is a question tag added at the end of sentences, and it means isn't it? But contrary to what you might know, this actually is a bit formal. It's not wrong by any means, but it's far more common to just say non. Il fait beau dehors, non? C'est délicieux, non? Une boum. Ah yes, this is what you were told all the cool kids go to on Friday nights. But une boum is such an outdated way to say party. You need to start saying une fête or une teuf, which is the verlan of une fête, or une soirée works as well. By the way, if you like this video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Okay, let's go back to some phrases that you should add to your vocabulary. Assez. So the technical meaning of assez is enough, which is totally correct, always good to use that, but assez also means quite or rather. La tour est assez grande, non?
Comme c'est une sauce assez épaisse, on la prépare avec des pâtes longues et plates.
Insupportable. So hopefully you don't hear this about yourself, because insupportable basically means totally unbearable or intolerable. Like, remember that time I said, mon ex n'arrête pas de m'appeler? You might say, oh là là, il est vraiment insupportable ce mec. Bon courage. I feel like bon courage is a phrase that has similar meanings in other languages as well. In English, the closest translation is good luck, but you say bonne chance for good luck in French, and bon courage is basically just used to offer reassurance or support whenever I was going to work, or maybe if I had a test in Paris, people would just tell me, oh, bon courage. And it kind of reminds me of the Japanese phrase ganbatte, if you know that one. Bige. Bige is a colloquial way of saying to understand, and it's kind of like how English speakers say, do you get it? That bige? or simply piger. It's conjugated just like a regular ER verb, and it can also be used a little more sternly, like il faut rester à la maison, c'est piger. Franchement. When I first learned this word, I was a bit skeptical of it because it sounds so similar to the English frankly, so I didn't know if French speakers actually use this. But actually, franchement is used way more in French than frankly is used in English. Because in English, we do make the distinction between frankly and honestly. They have a little bit different connotations. But in French, franchement is used for honestly and frankly. So you'll hear this one a lot. For example, franchement, je mange n'importe quoi tant que c'est végétalien.
Même pour vous, vaut mieux vous évanouir. Franchement, à un moment donné, faut...
C'est sûr. C'est sûr is kind of a catch-all, not just for that's certain, but also for sure or without a doubt. Et voilà. Voilà, I would say, is more of a filler word than just a word to say here it is or here you go. It's kind of like how English speakers sprinkle basically everywhere. If you like this video, be sure to check out our previous video on some French slang words so that you can switch up even more of your boring vocabulary for some words that will impress natives. And I've also included a free PDF below of all of these words so that you can refer to it anytime.